Okay, you guys ready to go? GARE kind of conference, Cape Town, Tuesday during the week, live everywhere. And we last left our superheroes at Penny's house. And we were going to do, sorry if I keep cracking my neck, it's just a little stiff, so you got to deal with that. We were going to do one more shift. It was just too late. So check the previous material on YouTube. We have some customers coming through here.
Hello, Nos.
All right. Hello, Nos.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
All right. You just got in time. It's okay. It's all right. You'll get the bill.
You can use
So-
it. You can use it, or we can.
So kind of to give a little bit of a recap.
Can it on the stool? On the cushion.
All right. So to recap, let's give a little quick recap. Thursday night was our first night this year. And I don't even think we scripted any notes. What did we talk? We talked about how to learn Torah. A lot of Nas asked some really nice questions, and we focused on, I guess you could say, the Get Soul Strong online yeshiva. What do you call that? Not a discourse. What do you call that when you learn how to do something? What's that called? Not a discourse. When you tutorial. I guess a tutorial of how to learn. And that's going to be a theme that we're going to be just shift just a little bit like that. There you go. So it's going to be a theme ongoing, always interjecting. I know it drives some people nuts, but interjecting how to learn Torah. Because remember, Get Soul Strong is not a website; it's a yeshiva. So the fundamentals, as anything in this world, never get old. You always have to, even like a professional athlete, has to renew his skills and fundamentals. So a writer has to constantly write. And for me, as someone that learns, learning has to be something that I do a lot so that I don't go through atrophy in my reading and learning. And obviously, as Jacques will tell you, getting GARE, to speak that nice term, is something that you say it best. What's the challenge of learning GARE? Once you stop learning it,
Stick to it.
yeah, because
Don't
give
ever
your
leave
take
it.
on it. Yeah, what happens? What happens if you stop? If you don't get plugged in, you don't come to class?
You lose it.
Explain it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just simple. I mean, if you don't stay in it, somehow the things just start disappearing.
What does staying in it mean? People don't know. They always say, Rabbi Katz, how can I get involved? And I tell them, and they don't.
Stay plugged into the classes.
What does that mean?
That means come to the classes every week.
Right.
Otherwise you lost interest.
Well, not so much interest. I think they're interested.
We figured that GARE is the Torah topic. GARE is a very high spiritual topic, and it's easy to lose it. You have to bring it down.
Constantly. It's not that people ask me, okay, but fine, okay, but why are you doing this? And they expect me to say, I love the Gentiles so much. They touch my heart. I wish that was the answer. It's not the answer. I don't know if anything we do in this world is because we have these great ideological, why do you, what's that?
This needs approval.
Okay, and then we will approve it. What is that?
No.
No.
That's-
Yes, shalom. Okay, there we go. Okay, we love things, we like things, but at the same time, the reason why that anyone loves something or nurtures something isn't because because they love it. If someone who loves animals, they'll all these. All right, I'm not going to pay attention to that just because I don't. Yeah. So all these things are popping up. I'm just going to pretend that doesn't exist.
Yes.
Maybe what goes on Facebook or whatever is like, I love animals. I take care of the world. I'm practically Noah. But if you were to follow them around their lives, there's things that they love a lot, not just the animals. And who knows? It's personal quirks. So it's the non-Jew is an aspect, but it's not the only aspect. I don't even. It's like, which part of your life do you like? It doesn't go that way. My personal answer is the learning of this material in totality is amazing. Now, that's a very general, vague question, and you're not supposed to know what I mean by that. And you can't know, because that's me. But Jacques has his take of why he likes it. But whatever it is, it's because you're fully invested. And Ger is so big. It's big. Very, very big. 7 billion fixing the world big on the surface. Obviously, underneath, it's big. And to me, the infrastructure of learning it is utterly massive. That we learned this today. We can learn Ger the rest of our lives, and it never stops. Every day is a new discovery. You'll say, but that's true of everything. Okay, then go do it. Go mow your lawn every day for the rest of your life and talk about how great it is to mow your lawn. Okay, you could, but you're not going to. But we are doing this. And this has so far been every day of, 8 years, 9 years. And we're just scratching the surface. We learned a book today, half a page? And I would have thought we would have been done in an hour, half hour. It took us all day. And it was going through mud in a good way. Because it was so thick. I mean, you go ahead and share. What did you learn? It was a book on Ger Tzedek, conversion. And even from that, was that really true what I just said? Was it really about conversion? Not really. It was about Ger. And then the author, you would argue, Rabbi Katz is twisting sources because obviously the author had in mind Ger Tzedek convert. Would I disagree with that? Would I disagree with that? I would not disagree with that. He had in mind conversion when he wrote the book.
All right.
But then the question is, did he write the book? Did the author of this book write the book? But
No.
already a lot of people would say that's an unintelligible question. Rabbi Katz is confusing. It makes no sense. But because there's a missing concept from your brain. Think about that for a minute, right? Think about how ridiculous this message sounds. The author did not write the book.
Yeah.
And I'm serious. Dead serious. I will not budge from that. How many people in Facebook Landia would be even willing to entertain that discussion? 0. And so already you lost 99% of the audience. Or more. 99.9 repeating decimal. So what's the answer?
Copy and paste.
He copied and pasted everything in the book. What what got you in trouble in grade school, plagiarism, is the modus operandi of Torah. You are expected to do plagiarism. You are not authentic unless you do plagiarism. That's a chab, isn't it? You are a false rabbi if you're not plagiarizing.
It has to be exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Copy and paste. All right, that's like that. You'd think that's such an easy concept. So when I teach it, right, the boys in Yeshiva in Modim, right, we talk, and I keep going around telling them, it's copy paste. And I'm just now starting to realize that it's a missing chromosome in people's brains and their souls. Nobody thinks that way. If it came out that J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter, plagiarized the whole book, you'd say, I thought so. But at the end of the day, it would puzzle, like nullify. What is that? I don't know how to say it in English. Puzzle. If this recorder were to break, it's puzzle. You can't use it anymore, right? It would puzzle the book if it came out she plagiarized.
Nullify.
Huh?
Nullify the book.
Nullify the book. In Torah, verkehrt. It's the opposite. So as I like to teach an analogy on this, is the tool is more powerful than the craftsman. How many of you have ever heard of Sophros, scribe of writing the Sefer Torah?
Yeah.
There's a special pen to write. It's very simple. It's not like an elaborate, obviously, because it's ancient, so how it already couldn't be mechanical. It's like a reed. I don't know how they do it, but it ends up being, because the Torah is divine, we know it comes from God. So the way that the ink works and the parchment and I'm going to call it a reed. I don't know what they use. I'm not a scribe. But the pressure, there's a split on the end, and the ink, and the way that the letters shape is, you, with a little bit of training, and trust me, you probably think, if I told you I was a scribe, what would you think? Whoa, he's so holy, you would think that, right? The lowest guys in the yeshivas are the ones that make scribes. Now, am I saying all scribes are lowlifes? No. What I'm saying is, when you're the Rachmanis case in yeshiva, and you're not a learner, again, it could be a huge Talmid Chacham is a scribe. But generally, when you see the guy in the shul writing, chances are he's the guy that doesn't know how to learn that well. He wants to be in the oilam. It's a way of making money, because again, you're becoming religious. First question they ask you is, how are you going to get married? How are you going to make a living? So if you have no skills, you can't do anything. Here, if anybody can learn how to write. Now, you might not write very well, but if you can write, and you're willing to work, and you can keep that position and not grow arthritic, right? You can make, $25,000, whatever, for a Sefer Torah. So it's hard. You have to work all day, making tefillin, mezuzahs, and Sefer Torahs. And most scribes are not pretty in the writing. So just write. Every Jew needs mezuzah, tefillin, and every shul is going to need at least 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, Sefer Torahs. And then they get puzzle, a letter falls off, renew the situation. Scribal is a very big work. But they're not that talented. So does talented equal pretty, equal the whole craftsmanship? What are the components? Pretty has nothing to do with the pen. Pretty script. How many of you guys have seen the script? What I call pretty. Some script is beautiful. Now, as a Cohen, I get the first aliyah in the shul when I go to shul, as long as there's no other Cohen, or they choose to give me the Cohen. Do you guys know this? So in the shul, like a little anecdote, a little side note. When we were in the Chabad shul this past Shabbos, there was a big question about what is kahal. What does it mean, congregation? So everyone that knows my stuff, the fourth kahal, third kahal gerim, and the rabbi, Rabbi Popak, started trying. Well, you saw the situation, and I just hit my lip. I didn't want to get into it. So when he said to me, he says, "Are you a Kohen?" I wanted to say, first kahal Cohen, the first house of Cohen, because it goes Cohen, Levi, and then Israel. If there's no Levi, the Cohen gets 2 aliyahs. If there's no Cohen, then it goes not to Levi, it goes to whoever. It can be a Levi, it can be an Israel. I'll tell you a really funny joke. I heard this joke in Yeshiva, right? So a friend of mine told me this. He was a Levi. So I'll tell you from my perspective. Something amazing has happened to me. Yeah? I've never, ever been in a minyan that didn't have a Cohen.
You.
Huh?
You yourself.
No, I've never been in a minyan where there wasn't a Cohen.
Because you were the
Because
one.
Because I was the Cohen. So most Jews can't say, right? They'll say, of course I was in a minyan where there wasn't a Cohen. So my friend was a Levi. He says, I've never been in a minyan where there wasn't a Levi. It's like, wow. So I see what the Sefer Torah looks like in many, many shuls. And sometimes it's ugly. And again, just kind of, like any script, calligraphers, right? Sometimes it's quality and other times it's not. So some scribes are really a great tav. So they can command $50,000, $100,000, $60,000. If you're not so great, $10,000, $15,000, right? Are you wanted? Do we want you to write our scroll? But the pen, now aside from the fact that he doesn't have like secrets of how to do the pen, okay, I don't know, but the pen doesn't make you quality on that level. But you're not so great either. The pen does most of the work. The pen is built that it just does it. And when you watch them write, you can go on YouTube and watch a video. So like the way the shin goes, the shin, right, the d, da da da. So it just does it. I've watched these guys do it. It's not a impossible skill. It looks like it when you see it. It's very fine and this and that. So the mechanism, the tool itself is greater than the scribe. Yeah. So in Torah, another example is, I'm smarter than all of you. That's what you have to know. Why? Because anything you say is not yours anymore. I can then record what you say, look it up, do the research, and I now know more than you. Because the words are more powerful than you. So whatever I say, and people do this, and watch my YouTube videos, right? You are now smarter than me infinitely, right? Because why? You listen to what I'm saying, and then you go look it up, and you will now know more than me. Words are the tool more powerful than you. We learned this last week with Mazel and Providence. I'm smarter than you, right? Because you thought you knew it, and we all got smarter than you, because we looked it up, and you didn't even know what you said. Right? And the words are a powerful tool. So the author of the book, called Tali Oros, by Rabbi Shimon Silver, he thinks he's writing about conversion. But he didn't write the book, because he's a real rabbi. What is not a real rabbi? Someone that doesn't plagiarize. He writes his own ideas. I think converting is the will of God. Yeah, the will of God. I think conversion is really cool. All right, conversion is really cool. That's my idea. I said that. But a rabbi doesn't do that. A rabbi says, Vodazora 64b, Creases, Steine, Gittin 43b, and then they'll just write down, what does it say in Gittin 43b? Amar Rabbi Yossi, Amar Rabbi Chanina, Gimel Chavever, da 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 da. And so he doesn't think. You'll say, well, that's no good. He's a cult member. He's not even thinking for himself. No, he's thinking about where to build it from. The scribe isn't thinking about how to make the letter. The pen is doing that job. He doesn't have to think how to do it. So, the book, as we're learning it, some Sfarim are not that deep. Some rabbinic writings are not that deep. Now, you can make it deep by looking it up and tearing it apart. Anything can be deep, but some things are just not easy to get into. It looks shallow, whatever. This book was mud, because he was really copying and pasting deliciously. Agreed? Mm-hmm. It was amazing. He brought really, they call it in Yiddish, geschmack. Just like a big brownie, right? And we saw that where he was copying and pasting from was the greater Ger Sugya, subject material. And yes, you can use your limitation of mind to make it slanted to one direction. But that's his choice. You chose to look at Providence in one little sliver. And I challenged you. I said, let's expand it bigger. And we did that with the books today. So when people out there like to say that there are those that twist sources and make the sources say what isn't said, this is clearly speaking about conversion. We've all been through that, right? And then we say, it is not clearly speaking about conversion, right? Then they would say, ask the rabbi himself. And he would say, you're wrong. It is about conversion. And I would say, that's your opinion. You're wrong. And they would say, you can't say the author of the book is wrong. And what would we say? He's not the author of the book. He copied and pasted. And I'm not saying he's wrong. He's choosing to be limited in his explanation. I'm not bound by the author in Torah, because he's not the author. So then what does the challenge become? Find the source of where he copied and pasted from. And Jacques said, are those his own words? And I said, kind of. Meaning, he constructed it, but he did it from the components of the copying and pasting. So that's called building. He constructed an idea from the sources. Even still, that he constructed it, it never loses the essence of the constructive parts. So some of the parts he used were entering under the wings of the Shekhinah. Sound familiar? Receiving Gerim. All of our friends. And he built really beautiful ideas. And it took us all day, plus yesterday most of the day, to get through 2 or 3 pages. Anyways, that's the introduction. That's a little discourse, a little action. It's going to be up on YouTube whenever we get to it. The video is made by the producer here. Anyways, that's that. So, Get Soul Strong is a yeshiva, not a website where you get plugged in. If you don't plug in on this level of intensity, it all goes away. So, is it because I love the Gentile, so to speak? Or is it there's just a really fascinating dynamic where it doesn't play Jew or Gentile? That's not the pieces. There's something very universal and spiritual going on. And you wouldn't think, whether you call it the convert, the non-Jew, whatever you want to put in that label, that genre of Torah, it itself is not exciting. I don't like it. I don't promote it. There's something underneath of it that is fundamentally interesting, exhaustive, and it'll never die. It'll never get old. Every day there's new discoveries. What did you learn? Anything new?
Today, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and say.
Gosh, I don't know if I can put it in words though.
Go try. We talked about the articulation. You got to try.
Okay, so we talked about the kahal, huh?
Yeah. Why did we talk about the kahal? We said Jews. Again, this is taken out of context. So jump in, right? Jump. Jews will abuse converts. We'll call them converts for the sake of discussion, right? And the prayer in the Amida prayer is we should bless the converts. We'll call it converts for the sake of the author and in the context, right? Before we go ger. So the way the bracha is constructed, we want to bring the converts into the kahal. That's why we call it converts, because it's in the kahal. And we don't want to push them out. We want to give a sanctuary for converts. Remember, it's a book on Ger Tzedek, right? So how do we do that? I want to abuse the convert, and the Torah and God wants us to protect under the wings of the Shekhinah the convert. So?
Okay, so what we know is that there are four houses. Cohen, Levi.
Right, because the book said kahal.
Yeah.
Correct.
So already you got to stop thinking, the congregation.
Yes.
First move. That's not his words. It's copy paste, which is Cohen.
Levi. Israel.
Ger.
Yeah. So when it says kahal in the Torah, you got to think in your mind,
Yes.
Cohen, Levi, Israel, Ger. Also, you need to think Yod, Kei, Vav, Kei. But then they said to protect the Ger, like Rabbi Katz just said now, they, instead of using the name of Hashem, Yod Kei Vav Kei, they say Yod Kei Kei Vav.
Why? That's the hard part.
That's the question. Why?
Wait! You left out the whole thing, which I don't. I'll give it in, right?
Okay.
This is the hard part. Okay, this is where. Let me just give one little intro before I get into that part. When you go past the authorship and get into copy and paste, you have the privilege and permission to do that because I know the sugya. Only because you know the sugya. If you don't know the sugya, then you're just as guilty for making it up. But if you're using the sugya, then I'm not going to listen to you. It's called I'm going to the source. That's Torah Yeshiva 101. Thank you for telling me that. I don't listen to you anymore. You gave it to me. I'm going to the source now. You said, Rabbi Katz, look in Kedushin 44. Bye, Ado. Thanks. Let me look it up now. Because whatever you say doesn't matter. Whatever your opinion is doesn't matter. Right or wrong. I'm going to look at 44. I'm going to see the source. Then we'll talk about it. You see what I'm saying? So, we have this concept of... Let's give a lot of different angles on this. How many of you have ever heard of tefillin? Yeah. Let's just see how much you know about this, right? Also, people in Facebook Landia. What's inside the tefillin? Is that all?
No, there's others.
Let me ask you a more specific question. How many parts are in the head tefillin? 4. Mm-hmm. What's on the sides of the tefillin? One side is a 3-headed shin,
Yeah.
and the other side is a 4-headed shin. Now, what do we call the standard tefillin? I know you don't know this. It's called Rashi tefillin. Rashi invented tefillin. I'm joking. Rashi explains how the tefillin works. I think it's in Menachos. I'm not sure if it's Menachos. I think it's Menachos. So the general title, whatever, we call it Rashi tefillin because we go by Rashi's understanding. Yeah. So when a scribe writes tefillin and you want to buy tefillin, you would say, "Hi Moshe, I'd like to buy a set of Rashi tefillin." And that's the halacha. That's standard chakras in the morning wearing Rashi tefillin. Then there's something called Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. It's kind of a controversial tefillin because it used to be that the Jews wore tefillin all day. Then, for a lot of reasons, they said only wear it in davening. Some people want to wear tefillin in the evening, or at a later time, or after davening. So the custom is you wear Rashi's, and you make a bracha on Rashi tefillin. Then without a bracha, you wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. What is the difference between Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam? Who is Rabbeinu Tam? Who is Rashi? Rashi is a Rishon in the Gemara, right? Rabbeinu Tam is one of the Tosfos. So Rashi, there's the Gemara, and there's the Tosfos. So once upon a time, Rashi was talking over here on the page, and then Tosfos was answering over here, and they argued in this 4D picture that I'm drawing. So where Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam disagreed was the order of the 4. Okay, there's 4 parshiot, and they disagreed on the order of the 4. So, I don't know if this is in Rashi itself or if it's in the Kabbalistic side. I have to look it up. But they would say of Rashi tefillin, it goes in the order of Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, because it's a different order, goes Yud, Hey, Hey, Vav. Then you would say, are we allowed to disassemble and rearrange God's name? The answer is yes. There are 12 permutations of Yud Kei Vav Kei in Kabbalah. So then why this particular permutation? Yud, Hey, Hey, Vav. So the Zohar says of that particular Yud, Hey, Hey, Vav, that is called, as they say in Waco, Mohei Nagadlut. Mocha Nagadlus. Meaning the higher intellect. So then you'll say, well, what does that mean? So what is Yud Kei Vav Kei corresponding to the Sfirot? Where's Yud? Hokmah. Hokmah. Say it like Russell. Hokmah. Hokmah. The Hokmah. He got the Hokmah.
Okay.
Where's Hey?
Bina.
Bina. And let's just go in the Rashi tefillin, right? Where's the Vav? Zal. Zal. 45, which is Mal, which is Adam.
Yes, sir.
And what is the final hay? Say it like Mike. Malhut. Malkut. Malhut. So then when you go in Mocha Nagadlis, which the Zohar is saying, that is not Mocha Nagadlis. What is Mocha Nagadlis? Higher intellect. Raw inspiration. It goes Yud Hey Hey Vav. Where's Yud? Say it right. Chokma. Yud Hey is Bina. Hey
is Za.
Malhut. Malhut goes up into higher into Zah.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But it's Malchus. It's not Zah.
Oh, it's Malchus.
It's Malchus.
That's elevated.
And then the Yesod, I guess, of, I don't know how you always say it, but Zah comes out. So the Yesod is that Vav. Yud Hey Hey Vav. There you go. So those are the two styles, right? Rashi, the one Shem Hashem, the other, right? So there's two schools going at it. One is not Mocha Nagadlis, one is Mocha Nagadlis. So Rabbeinu Tam, tefillin, why do the Hasidim wear it? It's the idea that it's going to bring a higher revelation into your keli. Now, is that better than Rashi? No. There's times of not Mocha Nagadlis, and there's times of Mocha Nagadlis. There's times we watch the NCAA Wrestling Championship Saturday night, and there's times we don't watch the NCAA Wrestling Championship Saturday night, which we're watching Saturday night. On Twitter. As they're saying on the social media, it's the best 3 days of the year. We all have that, right? Your birthday, your anniversary, but not every day is that. And it doesn't have to be every day, right? So there's your everyday tefillin, and then there's your special time after you got warmed up, you daven, and you put on. Everyone's got their reason why they do it. I have Rabbeinu Tams at home too. And I like it. I think I prefer Rabbeinu Tam. I don't know, I just feel more free. I connect to it. Some people don't wear it at all. It's, I don't know why we have to wear more than one. Okay, so then don't. Okay. So, the four-headed shin is obviously more connected to a full repaired Shem Hashem. The three-headed is missing that final hay. And they say the repair of this world is all about fixing the hay. Now, anytime you have the Yud Hey Vav Hey model, then it's when there's four. Anytime you'll see, and Rabbi Ginsburg does it a lot. Whenever there's anything four, you go Yud Hey Vav Hey. Right? That's just, you don't even have to ask why at that point. It's just that you do. And they'll say, where's that sourced? That's Svara. You don't have to explain why you attach God's name to something.
Or as logic.
No, it isn't. We're going to get to that. That's why I didn't say logic.
Okay.
For now, I agree with Jacques, but we're going to destroy that in about whenever time. Okay. So now, how many congregations are there? 4. So automatically, what do? You plug it into this thing. Right? Yodei Vavei, Kol Levi Yisrael Ger, the whole progression of the 4. Hokma, Bina, Zah. Okay. So now, with that said, generally we understand God's name as Yud Hey Vav Hey. There's no reason to think of Rabbeinu Tam switching the order. It's way too complicated. But look, want me to explain it? Okay. So we want to say the ger, whatever that ger is. Let's call him a convert, just for the sake of it's an easier analogy, right? The Jew Zah was going to kick him out. We saw some articles online about the converts being abused by Jews. So the bracha is saying, don't abuse him. So how do we fix that? Go away. Okay, go away. How do we fix it?
Put the one higher than the other.
Yeah, so what if we go like that? Bring the ger in so far that the Jew,
Cannot kick him out.
you're not going to kick him out, and he's now fighting the Nochrei. The Nochrei. So now it's like this. The ger's inside, touching between Israel and the Levite. And the Israelites is fighting off the Nachri, the non-Jew, the idolater. So what is the sod of Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin, that version of Yud Hey Vav Hey? Cohen, Levi, Ger, Israel.
Okay.
He's sandwiched in there. He's buffered. He ain't going nowhere. All right. So, want to say anything more on that, or?
No, I think you covered it.
Yeah. So we got that because the book was saying that the Ger's got to come inside the Kahal and not get kicked out. So that's what that. So it's so far in the Kahal, you thought he was on the lip going out. Bring him on the lip coming in. Then he's really grafted on.
There's a verse in Psalms that says, Hashem protects the ger.
Yes. I was just going to say it's like a...
And we daven that every morning. And yet, what else we say about that pasuk? We said some other things. Not so much, actually.
Okay, it was just that Hashem loves the righteous, and then
Right.
after says it protects the ger.
Right.
And then we talked about that also means coming under the wings of the Shekhinah.
Right, because under the wings of the Shekhinah, Rabbi Silver brought us the Iker definition, which we never really had the Iker definition before. How many times do we talk about coming under the wings of Shekhinah, and I never heard of it. I'm not saying I know everything, but I've never heard anyone say, wings of the Shekhinah means protection. They'll say, what else would it have meant? Well, I don't know. It's not my job to go making it up.
But now we know it's there.
Now we know the Iker definition. You don't make up and guess on Iker. You are told Iker. You don't say it. You are told it. When you're told it, it's Amuna Pshuta. It's there. What is wings of Shekhinah? Protection. Why does the Ger enter wings of Shekhinah? Protected.
Yeah.
So this is what we derived. One thing. We got a lot of things. Watch the video when it goes up from the book today. Now, two things. Let's talk about two things. Number one, could you get this if you're not plugged in? Can you keep it if you're out and not plugged in? You will lose it.
Forget it.
Is this something you can build on tomorrow? 100%. Is it not Geschmack? Is it not exciting to find out where we're going to build and go and do? It's not the Gentile. Where do we even talk about the Gentile here? It didn't factor. None of it had to do with the love of Gentiles or any of the religiosity that you hear. This is not a religious discussion, right? This is just, it's Torah.
So that's why we call the online yeshiva gets so strong.
Right.
So you can get so strong by learning and knowing who you are, what you are, and how to defend it. Because what happens out there, somebody comes and tells you something smart, and you are kishuv, and you don't know. At least now you can say, no, I'm sorry. This is what it is.
And the components, most people don't know them. Go on Facebook and ask your friends, what are Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin? Already, you're going to get mostly I don't knows. Then you get a couple smart Noahides who will Google it and go to Chabad.org. And are they going to mention, let's just go radical, right? Are they going to tell you Mochan and Godless from the Zohar?
Probably not.
No. So then you get a Wikipedia page, very dry.
They're not going to tell you about the full...
Yeah, the forehead shin, forget about it. Four houses, forget about it. But that's what makes it work. And that's not what you're going to get on Chabad.org. And none of those little things are you going to find on the little Kiruvi websites.
Yeah.
So real Torah is built from these hard to find places. That's why you go to Yeshiva. Because YouTube is not Yeshiva. You go to YouTube to find out that once upon a time was a guy named Rabbeinu Tam. Once upon a time there was a guy named Rashi. Once upon a time there was a thing called tefillin. Okay, that should be your first 6 months. After your first 6 months, you should not be doing that. How many times do you need to hear these guys on YouTube saying, once upon a time, there was a guy named Rashi? Because they're not going further than that. They're not going to. So eventually, you got to move on. And that's called go to yeshiva. And that's where you get into this whole Gentile inferiority, or I'm a fried Jew inferiority, right? And what we're doing is we're saying, let's not be inferior. Get soul strong. Plug in. You can go to yeshiva. That's what we're doing. We're making it accessible. To come and learn, to hear the hard-to-find pearls that you won't find anywhere else. Also, only David Katz knows. No, there are plenty of yeshivas in the world. And this is one a little bit easier to get into. Right? But the hard part of getting in is you have to be pro-ger. Because if you're going to come in with party lines, you probably won't last very long. So in the end, they're all hard to get into. But I'm telling you how to get into this one. So everyone's got their entrance fee, so to speak, or how to get in. But it's not a website. It's a yeshiva. And when you go to yeshiva, you don't go to learn Torah in yeshiva. There's no such thing as learning Torah in yeshiva. You do that by yourself, when you're learning in your own time. You're coming to hear things and get the download that you wouldn't have got by yourself. When people come together to learn Torah, ideas are exchanged. And you grow. Why are we even doing this conference in Cape Town? Because Jacques and I don't have that kind of connection on Skype. It's limited. You can't beat learning from a hard copy book on Shabbos versus the digital version on Tuesday. So you have to congregate in the living nefesh. We have to sweat together in this humidity of Cape Town.
Although you're not going to do that on the website.
Well, I'm not going to do that either because there's a fan blowing. Nothing that Shabbos, you could say, really is just an excuse to come together, buy real books, speak real words. I mean, think about it. Is that not more true today than ever with your Skype relationships and your digital downloads? Right? Shabbos is more real now than ever. How they doing out there? Shkaya, how you doing? Okay. So Get Soul Strong is a little Shabbos oasis on Tuesdays. And every other day we do it, right? To come and plug in, and I'm telling you, Mike has been harping on this, and Jacques and Russell. The ones that complain that they don't get it, by definition, are the ones that are not coming, are not on Messenger and talking. And we don't want to do Messenger in that way anymore. We want a yeshiva. And even that should go the way of the wayside. And it should go away. Why? We need to get a Ger Kollel in Cape Town, and in Waco, and everywhere else. So then people say, what is a Kollel? Then your friend from Noahide, blah, 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 will Google it, and they'll say, oh, it's an advanced learning, blah, blah, blah. Okay, thank you for your search on Chabad.org. Thank you. But there's something called looking it up on Chabad.org, and knowing what a Kollel is. So I was in Kollel for a long time, and I'll tell you what a Kollel is. And it's the most unattractive, unexciting thing in the world. Like all of this stuff, at first glance, is unexciting and unattractive. Kollel is a dank little office or room with bad lighting and bad everything. And you order a pizza, and you buy a bottle of Coke, and you have yeshiva chairs. And you do a study group. Now you guys have a Kollel going on here. And that's why the Cape Town group is very special. You guys actually are doing the model. Most people are not on your level. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. No one has a group like you. I don't know why you guys don't figure that out already. I don't care if it's only X amount of you. You have a group. Most people don't have a group. And they don't even know to have a group. And like you told Rabbi Popak, you learned it as you learned your way out of the church. You learned we have to have a group. So you have a group. And that should make Get Soul Strong go off the line. Right? By that time, there should just be kollels everywhere. I mean, it'll be on, but I'm saying everybody's got to join a kollel. I think. One of the big debates is, does Ger need a kollel, a house of study, base midrash, or a church, a Beit Knesset, a synagogue, a place of worship, a place of prayer? And that's a major conflict going on in circles. And they won't call it the church, but how many guys out there in this Noahide Ger world, Ephraimite world, and they're acting very churchy? They didn't leave the church. The politics of church are still going on, and they want their pastors, and they won't call it church, but it's church. Kollel is not church at all. Now, am I calling Beit Knesset synagogue church? No. But did the church formulate itself from that concept? Yes. So if you don't know what a synagogue is, then guess what you're calling it in your own mind? Church. So you can't say you want a synagogue when all you do in your mind is call it church. Now, if you want synagogue, that's fine. But you don't know what it is. And guess what? You're not going to Rabbi Popak Shul. You're not moving this group into Popak Shul. You got told that.
No.
So all the Ger Noahides that think they're moving into the shuls, no, you're not. So there goes that whole avenue. Unless you want to invent your own. And then, since you don't know what it is, it becomes church. But a kollel isn't rooted anywhere in anything churchy. What we have going on here is not a church. There's nothing church about this. Why am I able to be, as a rabbi, going around to these communities? That is totally treif what I'm doing. If it was church. But it's not church. It's a Torah study group. It's kosher. Right? We're not. But once it goes churchy, let's all hold hands in prayer. So that's going to go real funny real quick. Okay. So, am I saying that I'm the only one that's right? No. If you want to figure out synagogue, go ahead. Just leave me out of that. I got this thing going on. You should be matzliach and with bracha and figure that out. And God bless you too. It could work. I'm just not touching it with a 10-foot pole. I know this is one thing that works. Does it work the best? I don't know. But on some level, it works. Kollel is a staple of anything Torah serving God. It's just one of those things. All right. So plugging into it is that exchange of Mazel, Torah ideas. Edo heard and Jacques heard. They discuss it. They grow. They go back in their lives infused with more Torah stuff. Will worshiping together do that? Yeah, church is a pretty spiritual place in the backside. I wish I could say synagogue is a more spiritual place than it is, but it could be and it should be, but it's watered down. Again, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I'm saying is kollel does work. And when you're not plugged in, you lose it. When you're plugged in, you're plugged in. Do we understand a little bit better now? Let me go through my list, right? Do I understand kollel?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Do we understand yeshiva versus website?
Yes.
What is a yeshiva?
Learning place.
Learning place. Exchanging ideas. Getting the download. Hearing things about the four-headed shin that you don't hear anywhere else. Getting what you don't get from Chabad.org. Learning how to say Hokmah.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we can scratch off Thursday night. Thursday night was one side of this, right? How to learn. Love the book. You talk like that in a kollel. You don't talk like that in a Beit Knesset, in a shul. Right? So we're talking about how to exist and function in a learning environment. And it's not a website, it's not a library, it's a yeshiva. In yeshivas you get very loud and you yell and you scream and you do this stuff, and they call that Yiddish a lebedik. It's fun. It's not a library. The synagogue, you have to be quiet. You bother people. This is not that. Okay. So, there we go. Two more things to talk about the yeshiva and kollel. Let me cross that out so I don't even have to look at it. So, Rabbi Katz, I don't have a study group. I don't have a yeshiva. I don't have a kollel. I work 5 jobs. What do I do? So there's 2 more archetypes of study that we can talk about. Chavrusa, or if you're more Sephardi inclined, Chavruta, and Chabura. What's a Chavrusa and what's a Chabura? This is a Chabura. Right? If this was a proper kollel, there would be little groups all over the room. That big conglomerate is called a kollel. The individual group is a chabura. Is this a chabura? And since we're the only ones in the kollel, it's a kollel and a chabura at the same time. I have a website online called getsoulstrong.com. And I have to go to sleep sometimes. I'm not always available. And we have a room that we use called iVocalize. It's the software. You click the little button and you go in. And it's open 24/7. And shocking news, I'm not always there. So what do we do with this great opportunity that we are providing when 95% of the time Rabbi Katz is not even in there? Right? So does that mean there's a sign, get lost? The big question is, why are you people not there? Why isn't Addo writing online to Mike when Addo is confused about the Hokmah and Y45, which is Mal, which is Adam? Why can't you PM Mike, who has nothing better to do at the office, waiting for you to call him? That's Mike. He's waiting for all of you to PM him because he learns in his cave. And I'm telling you, if anybody out there wanted to know what 45, which is Mal, which is Adam, if you PM Mike and said, Mike, I need to know about Mal. Can you meet me in Rabbi Katz's Get Soul Strong Yeshiva and we can go and learn there? Would Mike say no? No. Is it open and available? Yes. Are there 2 microphones in my room that you both can talk like a Skype phone call? Maybe even better technology than Skype phone call? Yes. Can you record the conversation from my platform? Yes. Can it get archived on the Yeshiva if you find that, wow, Rabbi Katz, Mike revealed the secret to Ma. Can we post it? Yeah, you can. We can give you your own page, your own this, whatever you want. Jacques will program it. He's the expert. Tomorrow he's learning. Meaning, it's not a website. It's a yeshiva. I didn't build it to be a website. I built it to be a yeshiva. It can, anytime you want to take a study partner, and they're all out there, everyone sees the names, the Trevor Johns, the Addos, right? All these people, and all over the world, and everyone's wishing, they're saying, you know, those like sappy like Muppets, like, sometimes I look up at the moon and I wonder, does Mike really want to tell me what Ma is? So, PM him and ask him. All right, there's enough people, and I know you guys do the likes and the comments, so don't tell me you don't know who's who. Sonia went to a rabbi the other day, and he asked her, how many of you people are there? Is that Ben? He asked her, how many of y'all are out there? And she just, obviously, we're all asked that question. No one knows. But she told him 200. And I think we could agree on that number, right? I know that when if I were to start a new group on Facebook, you don't think that I could put 200 people in there right now? Absolutely. I've done it. So, if I imagine that, if you were to open a yeshiva and say, how many people are prepared to enter into it right now? And I say, 200. That's one of the biggest yeshivas in all of Israel. It's ready. You guys are the problem. Because you think it's a website. And it's not a website. And you are insisting on staying on Facebook, arguing with Moshe Shulman, God only knows why, and having discussions in seedy little threads on Facebook. Then you have to block people and delete comments when we can remove all of those gevurot and go to Get Soul Strong, and you can have your own, whatever you want.
Not wasting your time.
It's wasting it. It's a waste. It's a waste. So, I've done my part. I have built the thing, and I'm not done building it. We will constantly do the best we can to make it a user-friendly experience using the Metatron, the technology to do it. But there's enough built that, and this is not a promotion for my website. Right? None of this has anything to do with me. It is you guys being plugged in. And now, if the material's not worth it to you, then say so. Then go, to quote Chaim, go steal hubcaps. If that's what you want to do. But is that what you want to do? Or do you want to get it? You want to be, I mean, you say you want to do it, and I know you do. The only reason why you don't do it is because you don't know what it is. What is yeshiva? What is kola? So I'm telling you. And the more that this message gets out of what is it, how do we do it, what is the next step? Never have I gone on a trip and everyone says, well, you didn't really say anything. No one's ever told me that. No one's ever said, well, that was boring. No one's ever said that either. They all say, okay, I get what you're saying, but what's the next step? So now I'm telling you what the next step is. And it used to be I told you in theory what the next step. Well, one day I'm going to have a website. One day I'm going to have a website. And God willing, tomorrow, that party line is over.
It's not a website.
It's not a website. Tomorrow, God willing, we have our meeting, and we're going to... It's already up and ready. It's just more finalizing certain things going forward. What is that? Okay. Anyhow, this tour in Cape Town this year is about this talk. Get so strong. What is it? Why do I need it? How does it work? I've made my point. So, you grab your chavrusa. All right? You want to learn with somebody? You have 200 people to pick from. Pick one. The success that I've had is in pairing people. Right? Jacques has learned that he likes to receive Mike's teachings. Russell has his study group. But Ross has his study group. The people that are plugged in have found how to use, like we call it the Metatron, to make it work. And it works. Ross will never not get it. Jacques will never not get it. So, therefore, there are 200 people or more out there that if you PM them and you become friends, and that's how you do it anywhere in the world. You go in the sandbox and you say, hi, do you want to play? The kid says, sure. So, go find your friends. Right? This is an eclectic group. It doesn't always have a reason to be together, but you guys make it work. So, you don't have to find your popular friend. This is not school. You're not going to be popular and with the cool kids. If it's just about finding a study partner who wants to come play in the sandbox and be serious. Your chavrusa is not your friend. Your chavrusa is somebody willing that you can talk to, show up on time, is consistent, and you simply can convey these ideas. Like Russell always tells me, Russell and Mike would have no reason to be friends. Two totally different lives and people. But for Torah, they go. Right? I have a lot of friends from Yeshiva, and really we're not friends. There's no reason to be friends. It's just a Torah soul bond. One of the other things is, it's never ever going to work for you if you're not willing to invest your time and, more importantly, your money. That's why you need to give me $400 on admission. Just joking. Right? Just joking. You need to buy your books. That's the investment. And it's a serious financial investment. You don't buy your books, you're going to lose interest, lose your cheshik, and you're out. If you're going to bottleneck that easily, you'll get discouraged and you're out. So like when I was a bacher, you think I had money? I was 22 years old, living in a cave in Sfat, and my teacher bought me my first books. If he did, he knew if he didn't, I'm not going to buy it. So what did I do for my guys in Modin, in my yeshiva? I bought them their books. Because I knew if I don't, they're not. An 18-year-old boy doesn't have the concept, I have to go buy my books. They're thinking, shawarma. But you're not 18. And I don't have to twist your arm to buy books. And they're not that expensive. Right? I learned a lesson that if I stop eating out in Modin, I just learned this lesson. Right? I had a sandwich in the mall for 70 shekels. If I didn't do that, how much do you think a book costs in Israel? 70 shekels. So every time you eat out, you could be having one more book to your library. Think about that. It's a very profound thought. Shawarma or a book. So I'm sure you can cut out the pack of cigarettes, the case of beer, Cable bill, I stopped watching cable TV in 1998 because I just realized that $20, whatever it was unnecessary. It wasn't about saving money either. It was just not. I moved on to a different entertainment center. So I promise you, if you look around your life and clean it up, 2 things to get rid of that you know you don't need. That's your book. You're not buying new books every day. Say we start 2 new classes a year, 4 classes a year, 4 books. Right? You're talking, let's say, $100 a year. If you don't have $100 a year, you're a liar. Even poor homeless people have $100 a year. So the books are a main ingredient. Then you'll say, but I don't understand Hebrew. I'm not that good of a reader. It doesn't matter. Even if you don't get into it now, you have it on the shelf, it will never depreciate. You'll only get better at it. And staying connected and then learning with someone that can push you along and having rabbis connected, you'll just learn it. What did I tell you when you first started?
6 months.
Stick with it for 6 months and you'll get over your bottlenecking. And you weren't even asked to be that interactive. Just show up. Just handle the experience of being there. It'll rub off. You don't have to talk. You don't have to even listen. You don't have to understand. Literally, they told me when I went to Yeshiva, they said 80% of success in Yeshiva is just showing up. I'm not that smart of a guy. I don't know languages. I'm not that smart. Just literally, I was the guy who didn't leave. I lived underneath a shul, and I didn't go anywhere. I came up in my pajamas. I went down in my pajamas. It was Sfat. It rubs off. Torah is a miraculous endeavor. It really is miraculous. None of us are smart enough to learn Torah. But because we congregate, and you hear, maybe you don't like the way I say it, but if you come, you'll hear how Addo says it. Oh, that makes sense. It's Torah of Shem. It's a miraculous. There's no explanation other than it's God doing it, and you're putting yourself where God gives it to you. It's a gift. It's Matan Torah. It's Har Sinai. None of you have earned it. None of you are good enough for it. None of you are smart enough for it. But through your free will, just by choosing it, you get it. I remember the people that were involved with me in the beginning were not particularly talented people, including myself. None of us are. And you see, these guys, they get it. That's how Torah works. Okay, so we got Chavrusa and Kabbalah. Yeshiva and Koah. You feel good about that? All right. So now, let's talk. I think we talked about Metatron. You guys get Metatron a little better now? That whole discussion was about Metatron. Being plugged in is called Metatron. When you're out, that's called not Metatron. When Jacques knows this page, you felt like you had it, right? That's called Metatron. When he didn't come to class for a week, will he remember this page? No. That's called no Metatron. So do you want Metatron or do you not want Metatron? Metatron is when you're in your element, when you're good at it, when you're really on your game, when you're in the groove, whatever it is you do, right? So Torah is the home of Metatron, not just boxing and bicycling and sports and flipping channels on television, the fastest record possible. Okay, so those are all klippa. Those are all husks of the real thing. The real thing is you're either good at Torah or you're not good at Torah. Everything else is a ripoff, right? So the question is, do you want to be good at Torah? Not do you want to be. You have to know that you can be. Yeah. Metatron is when you are good at it. Now don't let your Yetzer Hara say, but I'll never be good at it. That's your Yetzer. Just by showing up. How many of you guys have ever played ping pong? They had it in the lounge in my dormitory in college. I am not particularly hand-eye coordinated in those things. But I cut class every day. Never went. And it's not a surprise I left after that semester. And I got really good at ping pong. Because every day I had nothing better to do than just play ping pong. And you get good, right? If you just play every day for an hour a day out of fun with your friends, you get good. You learn how to do a little spin, and you have little tournaments. You get good. Now, from there, if you want to get really good, you could. Technically, if I would have chosen it, you would have chosen it. Torah is no different. Play every day, hour a day, play with your friends. You get good at it. And God wants to give Metatron to Torah.
Oh, yes.
Right? There's less of a reason to get Metatron at playing ping pong like these guys in the Olympics. Right? But in Torah, God is dying to give you your Metatron. Like, come on, please, I'm begging you. Go to Yeshiva so I can give you Metatron. Meaning it doesn't take much to get good at it. It just, you got to crack that nut to get good at it. It might be 6 months. I hate the language. I hate Rabbi Katz. I hate online. I hate websites. I can't type. Okay. But crack that nut and you get good at it. So there is a Yetzer, but it's not like I cannot hit a baseball. It's not happening. All right? So I'm fundamentally not a baseball player. But none of you are fundamentally not a Torah scholar. You are fundamentally problematic with typing, internet, da-da-da-da-da. And those are problems that you can overcome. Even if you're hunting and pecking, okay? You'll overcome it. I just can't figure out how to do a web address. What is a browser? You'll figure it out. Right? The senior citizens amongst us, they have figured it out. Miriam. Okay, let's up the tempo a little bit. So, man, there's so much I want to say at this point. I'm gonna change directions a little bit. It wasn't one of my notes. And I talked about this with, I think, Russell or Mike today. What are they doing there? Okay. The problem that you guys have, and Jews have it too. We're coming to Yeshiva, ultimately, better yet, what are we walking out of the Yeshiva with? Okay, I came, I learned how to type, I found Metatron, I'm really, really good at doing nothing but listening to a Yeshiva lecture, okay? So, it's great, okay, I learned about the four-headed shin, I learned about Rabbeinu Tam, and it's in your head, right? What's the biggest problem that you have?
Forgetting.
So hold on to it.
Kind of, you're getting there. There's a joke. A Jewish guy plays golf on Shabbos, and he hit a hole in one. And a voice came from heaven and said, "Who are you going to tell?" So the problem is, you say yes, the forehead shin and Rabbeinu Tam. I have it. Great, Chuck. Who are you going to go tell?
Who wants to know?
Who? How are you going to say it? Hi, I'm putting your glass in. Did you know Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin contains Yud, Hey, Hey, Vav? And it's the Hokmah. You have no infrastructure, no desire, no ability. So you're going to try to, then you're going to get your Yetzer involved. You're going to try to dumb it down to say, okay, how do we do this? Okay, do you know about God? Now you're just some religious freak. And you don't even want to talk about God like some missionary. You want to talk about the Hokmah. But you have no way of saying it. So you're gonna. Then they say, I don't even care. I just say it. They say Rabbi Katz is confusing and makes no sense. Because what do? I talk about the Hokmah. So when you walk away, you want to. I'm a poet and I don't know. When you walk away, you want to say, but you can't. You have no way of saying it. So the skill that you want to walk away with is ultimately working on yourself. What does that mean? I don't know what it means. That's why it's a cliche, working on yourself. So take it one more step, knowing how to articulate it and say it. That's all. So that level now becomes, who are you going to tell? Then it becomes, I want to tell everybody, and so I'll say it the same way. If I see a Jew in black and white, then he must be a rabbi. We've all been there. Since he's a rabbi, he must be the world's greatest rabbi. Because he looks really black and white. So I'll tell him straight into Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbi, Rabbeinu Tam, forehead and shin, gear. And then he just kind of nods his head and smiles. What's the problem?
He doesn't get it.
Huh?
He doesn't know.
No, it doesn't get you, because you're a Neanderthal talking about, what are you talking about? Because you're not channeling the energy, you are forgetting this is a human being. And there's a way to talk. Right? So it becomes, who are you talking to? You'll say a Jew, a religious Jew, black and white, probably the world's greatest rabbi. No. That's all fluff. They say in Kabbalah, what is Yud Hey Vav Hey? It's the level of revelation of God. That's all. Meaning everything else was not revealed. So none of that godliness even matters to you until you get to the revelation of God himself. Like, ideally, it's like saying pre-God went over your head. So that all you're seeing is, wow, Jew in black and white. Where's pre-Jew? You see what I'm saying? You're getting just the revelation. It's the pre-Jew. What kind of Jew? Is he a Litvak? Is he a Chassid? Is he Kabbalistic? Does he hate Kabbalah? Does he even believe in God? Is he even Jewish or Messianic? Is he Chabad, Breslov, Brisker, Dr. Yulumi? Which kind of Jew are you talking to? I'm a poet, I don't know it. So one of the big learning curves that happens, where does it happen? Here's a quiz, pop quiz. Where does it happen? In Yeshiva.
Yep.
Why am I privileged more than everybody else on the planet? According to my opinion. Everybody goes to Yeshiva. Everybody has their skills. Say, why do I like what God gave me? Everyone likes what God gave them, right? But I personally like what God gave me because I was privileged and blessed to learn in Yeshiva in Sfat. So if I was in New York, I would say God gave me everything because I got to be in 5 towns and have great bagels. In Sfat, you're not getting great bagels. What you do get is, because it's just one of those hub universes, I mean, you were there, every kind of Jew in the world comes to Sfat. It's an indisputable fact. If you don't like Jews and you're Jewish, then don't go to Sfat, because you're not going to like it. I mean, if you want to be with your type, Sfat's not for you. Every kind of Jew comes through Sfat. So Rav Weingart, my Rosh Yeshiva, taught me how to read, and it was painful every night in Yeshiva. Just being there, right? Just being there. He taught me how to read 5 years. I had to really slave over it. And then we had the night Seder, learning at night, just like this. This is called night Seder. The secret to learning Torah, by the way, is night Seder. Everyone works in the day, and all the new guys that come in, they get them to learn at night. There's a very special bracha of learning at night, which we're doing. The story of my life has been learning at night. So at night we had a late Maariv, 10:30 prayer. All the random Jews would come in, from all over. And how would you know the Hasidim? So our shul was like a shrine, a famous Hasidic shul shrine. And they'd come in and like, looking at deer in headlights. And then I'd say, all right, watch this. And I knew what they were going to say. Borough Park or Flatbush? What? Are you from Borough Park? How'd you know? How could I not guess? They'd be from Borough Park, right? The Hasidic Sha'ilim. And I'd say, okay, so the shared team's that way. Bathroom's over there. How'd you know I needed the bathroom? Because they all come in and ask every single night where the bathroom is. Then they'd come out of the bathroom and I know the next question. Who's the Rosh Yeshiva? Rav Weingart. Very nice. Where's he from? Far Rockaway. Very nice. Every night. So then you'd have all the cliches. The Chassidim would come in. Then the Litvoks would come in. The 3 friends, Litvoks, with the jacket over their shoulders and walking like they owned the place. And then we'd always be like learning Gemara. So I would always ask them, what does Rashi say? They'd say, what? What does Rashi say? And I'd hit him with like hardcore Gemara, right? So every time the cliche Jew would walk in, it was like a game just to hit him where he's at. Every kind of Jew came in. So for over 10 years in this base medrash, you learn what the socks mean, what the shoes mean, the hat means, the shirt means, the colored Yamaha, Right? You learn every kind of Jew. I know how to talk to every kind of Jew. That's what you get for learning in Sfat. Some people don't care or want that. Everyone gets skills, right? Living in Cape Town gives you certain skills. Learning in Boston, in America, gives you certain skills. It's called mazel. You're never without skills. So use your skills. One skill that I have acquired that is a necessary skill. And again, everyone has skills to offer. You have skills to teach me. I have skills to teach you. And that is you have to know what everything about Judaism is. And I don't mean because you want to convert and be a Jew. No, 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 no. You're going to be in Torah. You have to know how to identify Jews.
Yeah.
Jacques spoke to Rabbi Popak in Sea Point, was it yesterday? That was one of the most difficult conversations in my life. Because, number one, we wanted him to get the message. So me just saying, I'm a Litvak and you're a Chabadnik and I don't care about you, and what does that do? But we wanted to talk to him that it was, I guess, indigenous, but comfortable for a Chabadnik. Because I'm saying that I'm excited about Ger stuff, and you don't think I knew what his next statement was going to be? It was obvious. Well, I'm excited about the Tanya. You don't say. Really? Wow. Let me guess, is the Rebbe the Messiah too? So you know where they're going to go. And I don't mean cliche. But knowing how to speak and articulate to the Jews, and all the more so the non-Jews, and we have not figured out how to talk to Noahides yet. I don't know if even God himself knows how to talk to Noahides. But knowing how to articulate is the whole thing. It's one thing to come plug in. That's already 90% of it, 80% of it. Once you leave, you're going to ask me the question they all ask, okay, now what? And the answer is, the only reason why you're saying now what is because you don't know. And what you don't know, and what you're really saying is, I don't know how to say it. Isn't that what we all say? When you come to one of my classes, what are you all saying when you leave? In the back of your mind. You're saying, I got it, but I can't say it to anybody. That's what your real problem is with me. Is you know you get it. You know all of you people in Facebook Landia get it. What you're saying is, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say it. That's the whole thing. So being able to articulate Torah, it's just, that's the thing. Ratzov v'shuv, run in return. Right? So learning how to communicate it and articulate it, and that doesn't mean dumbing it down and putting it in kabad.org, English Kalim, to make it Greek concretized non-wisdom. No. It's 4 to 5, which is Ma, which is Adam. And it's self-explanatory. So you find people that understand that. Now, if I wanted to say Mikeism to Chabad, then put it in the Kalim, not of a concretized Greek human being Chabadnik, but in the Torah of Chabad. Right? So if I don't understand the book of Tanya, like the main book of Chabad, chances are he's not going to get it. So knowing who you're talking to. If you're talking to a Litvak who hates Kabbalah, then don't start talking Kabbalah. The beauty of Ger, particularly Ger, is it exists in every aspect of Torah. And that is unique. Right? It's very hard to find putting your right shoe on first in a midrash. But Ger stuff is all through everywhere. It's a universal language, rabbinic language to speak. Okay. So with that said now, we're going to move on even to an even deeper level of yeshiva. So, again, is it a Chabad yeshiva? Is it a Breslov yeshiva? Is it a Litvish yeshiva? You have to know those things. You don't walk into one type of Judaism expecting another. It's going to clash. If you want Kabbalah, don't go to a Chabad yeshiva. Chassidus is not Kabbalah. I know you don't know what the difference is, but you have to find out. So, there's something called brisk. And good luck finding a Jew who knows what brisk is. It's rare is not even the thing to say. You know how they say that Lehavdil, you know how they say that Buddhism is not a religion? They say it's a philosophy. Right? So, brisk is not a sect of Judaism. to say, well, I'm brisk and I'm Chabad and I'm better than you, right? They have these things called Jew-boos, right? Jewish Buddhism. They want to say that I can be Jewish and a Buddhist too. So what I want to say is, you can be a Chabadnik, you can be a Breslover, and you can be a Buddhist. Just joking. You can be a Breslover Chabadnik, and you can be a brisker at the same time. Meaning, brisk is just, how do you define it? Say huh?
Sweden.
But it's the original, it's just learning. Brisk is just learning. The biggest example of this, and it's one of my favorites, it's only not my favorite because nobody gets it. Who was the biggest brisker that ever lived, according to me? My unofficial version of that story. Lubavitcher Rebbe. His sicha, and the way you say is Chelik Lamed Aleph Parshas Mishpatim. The Rebbe's take on Ger is the greatest Ger piece, if you want to put it in the levels of brisk. Was the Rebbe a brisker? Yes. And it's funny because everyone says like Moshe Rabbeinu was a Chabadnik. No, he wasn't. But it really is. Brisk is not a thing like Chabad or Breslov. It's just it's a psychology of the mind, of how it's the Torah mind. How did you say it, the Rabbi Popek? There's the Goyish cup and Yiddish cup.
Yes.
There's the Torah mind and the non-Torah mind. And you know that there's different kinds of minds. Right? There's the math mind. You know how it is. When you want to do math, you got to get in the mind space, the head space, right? When you want to have fun, you got to shake off work and go have fun. There's something called a Torah mind. So when you come to Kollel, you have to get in the Torah mind. And most people, I think the limitations they have is they don't know how to discover their Torah mind.
Yeah.
And that's what yeshivas teach is, when I say love the book, that's my chap, love the book. But there is something that what a Rebbe does, and I don't mean a Hasidic Rebbe, but the title of Rebbe is really, it's the guy who gives you yeshiva. The main dean of yeshiva is called a Rebbe. The Rebbe's job is to get you acclimated to yeshiva life. And so Rav Weingart filled my head with all kind of isms for a long time. And those isms stick. And a Rebbe gets creative with his own isms from their truisms. And you guys know my truisms by now. Love the book. We take the long way. We look it up. We don't guess. We source. We copy and paste. Those are what I've learned and will pass on to my students. And then Rav Weingart learned and passed on to his students. One of those is you have to know how to read. He took me aside one day and said, Dave, you're going to be a freak. If you don't know how to read, you're going to be a guy that knows how to learn Tosfos, but you're not going to know how to say Kiddush. Do you want to be that guy? I know that I have students come to the house for Shabbos meals. Do I want to be that guy stumbling over the words? No. He's a freak. So your Rebbe tells you the way it is in yeshivish. So brisk is advanced software of getting your head really into learning Torah. So what brisk did, if you want to keep the individuality, was they defined the elements of Torah consciousness. Now, what does that mean? Jacques will be quick to tell you Svei Dinim. So when the Lubavitcher Rebbe learned anything, I don't know if he called it Svei Dinim. He may have called it whatever he called it. But he was doing Svei Dinim. If you don't want to call it Svei Dinim, I know you don't know what Svei Dinim is, but if you don't want to call it that, then don't call it that. You're still a brisker. I don't care what consciousness is universal. So now, what is Svei Dinim? What are these deeper tools? Remember, the tool is greater than you, right? Your mind is connected to God by the very fact that you have a soul. In your mind, you are speaking, living, breathing, and doing double entendres. You know what double entendre is? one thing that carries two connotations or meanings all the time. If Jacques says, Adelia, we have to spray for bugs, and then they start talking about it, and Jacques says, well, the bugs are bugging me. Right? That's a double entendre. On one hand, it's annoying. But where does the idiom come from? They're bugging me. Right? It's annoying, but it is an actual bug. Bugging. He's being a bug. He is bugging me. That is a double entendre. You speak it and do it all the time. That's whenever you hear me say pun intended, right? Oh, the bugs are bugging me, pun intended. And you don't even have to, when I do it, I'm not trying to be funny. It's a discipline to train your mind to cop and concretize the two that are really one. So when you train yourself to say pun intended or whatever, you're grabbing that moment of two-ness. Remember, I'm smarter than you. Why? Because I hear what you say. You need to learn how to become smarter than you. You need to learn how to grab the part that's not you, where it's still two, where it's God, before it's you. So when you grab it, you become smarter than you. If you miss it, you're dumb. Because you take two and you narrow it, now we can argue. Because you're taking one side, I'll be controversial, take another side, and you're so blind to it, and I'm blind to it, we're going to argue without even realizing why and what we're arguing about. But if I grab it first and call it two, I mitigate you, you can't argue. I already said it. It's already both. I already can see it your way. That's called Bina. Right? I can already see and understand both. So in Torah, always the answer is in two. Let me give you an example. Let's see if I can think of one on the top of my head. That's an obvious one. Oh, what's a good one? Okay, here's one. Rabbi Goldstein said that wisdom is found by the king. It's an ancient midrash. I'm making it up. Fine. Wisdom, I don't know, let's just say kings have wisdom. It's an Iker term, we won't say, right? It's an Iker term that kings have wisdom. What's the problem? You'll expose to me the spherotic structure, and you will point out to me that Chokmah is up here, and Malchut is down here. And Mike will interrupt and jump in and say, but wisdom is nested in Malchut. Okay, but you don't have to say that. You can, and it's one of the answers. But you can say, Svei Dinim. Stop. How many wisdoms are there? You thought there was only one Chokmah. How many are there? Two. And why don't you know that? Because you don't know the sugya. If you knew the sugya, you would say Svei Dinim. Now I know that's Greek. So number one, if I ask you how many Chokmahs are there, and you don't know already, you say two, you're a liar. You guessed, and therefore you're wrong. Because I will kishuf you in hocus pocus, blah, blah, blah. And you'll get real nervous with the giverot, and you're done. You lost. I'll say, what's your source, Jacques? You're done. Right?
Okay.
So,
I would say that I am lower.
well, you know the sugya. But if you knowing the sugya means you know the copy-paste. You know the source. You don't have to guess or use logical deductions. So there's a source like Jacques said. There's Chokmah, and there's Malchus is synonymous with what's called Chochma Tachtona, the lower wisdom. So now you can even say the Sphira, the bottom circle of Malchus, how many perspectives are in Malchus? Now there's many, but let's just say, for the sake of discussion, 2. Sveidinim. Malchus is the lower revelation of all that came above it, and it's also called the lower wisdom. There's an innate wisdom in Malchus. So when kings have wisdom, we weren't talking about Hokmah. We were talking the place of Malchus that's 1, that's really 2. If I'm a king, which is a melech, which is language Malchus, and Malchus is Chochma Tachtayne, by definition we can say kings have wisdom. That's Sveidinim. Because without Sveidinim, you'll study it and say, kings have wisdom. And the people that deny the oral Torah will say that's silly. He's wrong. It makes no sense. Because Malchus is down here, Hokmah is up here, and obviously the rabbi Kabbalist doesn't know what he's talking about. When people are against the oral Torah, that's why. That's why. They don't know the sugya. So they would say, no, it must be that the king loves to speak because Malchus is speaking. Well, you just lied and you made it up and you guessed because you don't know the sugya. And you think that svara means logical. It's logical what I say. It's not logical what the rabbi says. And you know what? It's not logical what the rabbi says. Because the rabbi is speaking from wisdom, not from truth. And the sugya is in wisdom. Wisdom doesn't make sense. Going out from yeshiva talking about Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin doesn't make sense in any plane of existence known to mankind. There's no reason in the world to speak like this, and talk like this, and to animate like this. It doesn't make sense. Yeshiva is a soul experience to allow this kind of expression. When the Torah is written orally, it's in that environment. So instead of saying the rabbi was stupid for not knowing, maybe you were the one not too swift for not knowing. And then you say, oh, I can answer it. I got it. Hokmah is in Malchus. Sveidinim. It was the lower wisdom, not the higher wisdom. Now we unbottlenecked the situation, and we can continue, and we didn't get kishuvt, we didn't lie, we didn't make it up, we didn't guess, and the situation goes on. That is an exercise in brisk. You understand brisk now? It's having those power tools, not just tools, but power tools in the consciousness, the Torah mind, that allows you a more profound practice of unraveling Torah mysteries. Because your evil inclination will beg you to make it up, lie, and guess. When Torah is written properly, it was never written at all, as we say. It was just sourced. So how does a rabbi source? What is a rabbi? A rabbi, the Jewish nation Israel, is nothing more than the godly style of wisdom. There's Greek wisdom, Greeks personified wisdom, and then God wanted a different kind of wisdom. Jewish thinking, Jewish writing, Jewish speaking and being is nothing more than a style of expressing wisdom. It came from Adam to this very moment today. So therefore the Tanakh is nothing but, you think it's literary stories. It isn't. It's how, I'm going to say the Jew in terms of the spiritual concept, right? It's how the Jew gives over wisdom. It looks like an anecdote, a story. The Greek wants to get a measuring rod and a telescope. The Jew just tells a story in terms of Tanakh. But it evolves. The rabbis of the Talmud, they have their version. This is why in the Torah, you look at it from generation. How do you guys envision Rashi? What is Rashi? The mental picture in your mind. I said Rashi said so. What do you think? What do you think? Authoritative? Rashi said so?
Yes.
You pull it from the sources.
So I think around the year 1000. That's what pops up in my head.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so we're talking Rishonim. Because that's a style of writing. So it's the perspective that matters in Torah, not just learning, right? That's why I give over all these random weird tools. It's all about the tools. Because you would probably say, would you say that Rashi and the Lubavitcher Rebbe were both rabbis? You're wrong. They're not both rabbis. One was a late Achron, one was an early Rishon. Different universes. They're not even both human beings. They're both different creatures altogether. You can't compare them. So they're just like there's the Jurassic period and all these things, right? Rabbinic Torah Jewish history must be understood through the context of history. One of the greatest gifts that I got in Yeshiva, and everybody in Yeshiva gets it, is you get a free history education. I'm a PhD in history. Now, what does that mean? My understanding of history will get me failed out of every college that I would attend. But in Torah, you gain a perspective of the historical stamp that comes with it. So the Jew, who's a Torah scholar, I'm just saying Jew in terms of yeshiva student, right? Gains a perspective of history to aid and help his Torah study. Because without it, you're lost. So when somebody, just go ahead, call it a date. Go ahead. In modern, not in Jurassic, but from Adam till today. Go ahead. Someone call a date. In secular or Jewish, whatever year. Go ahead.
1957.
Post State of Israel, late Achronim, coming into the end of the Achronim.
1800.
Huh?
1800.
The post 1740, middle Achronim, the masters of the Shulchan Aruch and Halachists.
1740.
Everything. Don't use that one. Huh? Yeah, was it? Go ahead, another date.
1740.
Already said that.
1652.
Huh?
1652.
1652 is going to be early Achronim, pre-1740 guys laying the foundation of Kabbalah, the foundation of philosophy. It's the beginnings of all that we have in the perfected, refined writing form of today.
1999.
The end of Torah. Anything after that, you're not a rabbi anymore. You're only learning what the rabbis wrote. The Lubavitcher Rebbe is going to die. Moshe Feinstein just died. New York Judaism just died. We're moving on to the new millennium. Now you're buying your art scroll Humash, and you're no longer a rabbi. You can no longer hope or dream of being a rabbi anymore. You understand? So now the rabbi becomes the tool. So the Jewish history is essential in understanding the Torah. So the Tanakh was a very interesting Torah time. Not in terms of the stories. That was just how they conveyed the wisdom, through the stories. But it's not stories. It's actually wisdom.
Yeah.
So why don't you see it as wisdom? Why do you see stories? Why do you think that Samson was a great story?
Because you didn't learn it in the yeshiva. You didn't get the wisdom from the
That's a nice way of saying it. Say it a little better.
You don't have the wisdom.
What does that mean? You're very close. Don't say what you're saying, even though you're saying good, right? Say, Now through Yeshiva, I know how to read Samson through knowing the Iker terms in the Samson story. Is that what you're saying? So when I read Samson, I see Iker, 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 instead of long blonde hair and a strong man and the pillars. That's not what I see. You shouldn't see that either.
Yeah.
It's not a story. You can learn it that way,
Totes, yeah.
but it's Iker. The Navi that wrote that was his way of giving you Iker. When the Talmud wrote it its way, that was its way of giving you Iker. And just like everything changes. Once upon a time they wore bell bottoms. Then they wore whatever.
Stovepipes.
Huh?
Stovepipes.
Stovepipes. Torah goes through generation changes and style changes. So brisk came in style in, let's say, the 1800s. It's not new in the 1800s. Bell bottoms probably weren't new in the 70s either. Okay, so anyways, brisk, now we can understand, is the deeper tools of consciousness to basically take Addo from saying, go learn Samson, which the Noahides think that's the highest level. Then we graduate to go to Yeshiva to learn wisdom. And then you would say, you read Samson to know the Iker term. At that level, you're brisker. So, any great rabbi, what level do you think they were learning Samson on? Brisk.
Yeah.
They might not call it brisk, they might not call it Iker terms, because it doesn't matter what they call it and what they teach it to you as. Right, what he's doing is, he's not looking at it like a Noahide looks at it. Period. Alright, so now, do we have brisk? Do you understand brisk?
Yeah.
Rabbinic language.
Power tools.
Yeah? Do you understand? Yes or no?
Yeah.
These people on here? Okay. There we go. There you go. Delia will give you the bill for spelling that. Right. Svei Dinim we got. Right? All the time, two are entering your brain, and you can choose to be dumb or smart.
Yeah.
Correct? Dumb is your regular human being, which allows yourself for the giverot. Everything you say can and will be held against you, and I will argue because I have nothing better to do. I'm a Noahide. So if you go two, then you are mitigating your own giverot, and you come out talking weird like Rabbeinu Tam, and then the Noahides still argue. Svei Dinim. Okay. Yep. And let's go ahead and change course a little bit. Then maybe we'll take a break after this. Yeah? Yeah, if you want to. You guys want to take a break or no? Yeah? Okay. I found this out on Shabbos in the blue book, the new blue book that we're doing. This was really one of my favorite discoveries, right? I found out that Svara doesn't mean logic. That was a big Yeshua, man. Big one. Because everybody thinks Svara. The Hebrew word Svara, and they think it means logic. And I found out it doesn't. So, when they'll say, Rabbi Goldstein figured out that turning on a fan on Shabbos is forbidden because through Svara. Because the Talmud didn't have electricity and fans. So through Svara, he figured it out. Now you're going to say, that's pretty weak. The Jews' religion's based on a logical deduction, and they treat it like the Word of God. Right? No. Svara is paired with the word hashkafa. So the word hashkafa usually is, we don't have a TV in our house because we believe it poisons children's minds. That's our hashkafa. Personal outlook, philosophical point of view. Treif and treif, wrong definitions. Low level. Say, hashkafa is the word to see. Right? Glasses in modern Hebrew are mishkafayim. Shakef.
Yes, yes.
What do you see? So when you have svara, Svara is like brisk. I can guess the sugya and make it up as I go, right? I'm going to guess. Or I lay it out. Avodah Zarah 64b. Da-da-da-da-da. I lay out the sugya. In brisk, they'll teach you that that's called svara. So when I was a young brisker, I thought that meant the brisker Rav was really interesting and creative. How do we get from Kedushin 35, that's talking about digging a hole? I bet you it's like Bava Metzia that talks about a hole in an ocean. Yeah, I think we can make that go. What do you guys think? We can make that go? Let's make it go. I think we can do that. And the Brisker Rav went and just was meditational and thought of a really trippy way of viewing it. And I thought that's what brisk was. Then I found out, not that long ago, I mean, you just get better at it as you go, right? I realized I'm an idiot. That the Talmud is filled with sugyas, a known, mapped out already terrain. And the Brisker Rav would go and learn it out and map out what he found. It's not a guesswork that we go from Kiddushin to Ksubis to the Sanhedrin. Those are not guessing steps. That's a manual. He's telling you, this is how it goes. And you'll say, but it doesn't make sense. How does it get from A to B? Not my problem. You're the one that doesn't get it, pal. I'm telling you how it goes. You don't have the right to ask why. God wrote it that way. So the Torah, with all the sourcing and the footnotes, are there to tell you the map of how it goes. When you have a map, that's called Svara. Svara is like a thread. It's the thing that is connected. So when they say that the fan is Asur on Shabbos, that means he says they took a snapshot and I figured it out from Svara. I was able to superimpose and map out the sugya. So my hashkafa is how much I can see. If I know a sugya, can I see? Svara is the path. It's the paved path, so I can see.
Not personal.
Huh? Right.
Not personal.
It's just how much you can see. The more svara you have, which is like concretized Judaism, but real Judaism, Torah A, you have a greater hashkafa.
Yeah.
Ah, Adam could see from one end of the world to the other.
I don't use Ger Toshav peoples as Shabbos goys. Do you know why? Because I have a greater hashkafa than those that use Noahides, kosher Noahides, I'll call it, as Shabbos goys. Because I have a hashkafa that says it's wrong. Because I know the svara. I know the sugya. I have a lump in front of me. I know the material, the chomer. If I don't know how it gets from A to B to C to D, then I don't know what you are. It's just the righteous Gentile. And then it's my opinion if I want to ask you to turn lights on or not. And then I'm self-righteous. I don't ask my Noahide friends to turn on the lights. I definitely do ask my Noahide friends to turn on lights. That's your hashkafa that you made up and your logic. It is logical to me to ask Jacques to turn the light on. And then I'll say, because he's not a Jew, you're just logicking your whole path, pal. But if it's Svara, right? I know Jacques not a goy. I know he doesn't turn the light on. I know the sugya. It's a svara. Then you have the proper hashkafa. And you constantly grow. The more svara and sugyas you gain, the more wealth you have spiritually, the more hashkafa you have, the more you can do. The more you can see. The more you know. The more you can talk. So to bring it all back to where we started this talk, why do you go to yeshiva? To gain a greater hashkafa.
Yeah, to see it, to know the sugya.